Hey, filmmakers, Jason Brubaker over here at Filmmaking Stuff. Just as soon as I hit this go live button, literally there's some noise out that way and there's some noise out that way, and I'm surrounded by all of this noise, and I'm sure hopefully you can hear me okay. So I'm just sort of like shouting over the noise to communicate with you. But I wanted to share a quick philosophy with you, and that is the philosophy of living a debt-free life. And you might be asking, well, Jason, what the heck does this have to do with filmmaking? Well, what it has to do with filmmaking is, if you take a look at statistically, the people that are out there that are adults trying to do adulting things in the world, unfortunately, a rather large majority of people have some degree of debt, if not a lot of debt. And what I've learned through this filmmaking process is, as you're trying and working to level up your career, every once in a while, there's going to be an opportunity that comes to you. And that opportunity may not pay a whole heck of a lot, but if you took the opportunity, it would allow you to increase your network, work with really cool people, and importantly, it would create a ripple effect of helping you find your next opportunity beyond that. But you see, when these sort of like what I would refer to as a stepping stone opportunity, when these opportunities come to you, one of the things that oftentimes happens is you're so stuck and shackled to your debt that you just can't take the opportunity. Sorry, I would take it, but I got bills to pay. And that's an unfortunate place to be. Now, I'm not a financial advisor and I'm not qualified to do all of that kind of stuff, but I can tell you through my own life, I started out with a lot of debt, and through time, I just chipped away at it. Now, it took me some time and it took me a lot of effort, and it's really hard sometimes where you're like, oh, should I pay this, money towards the debt, or should I just go use this money for something fun? One of the examples that I like to point out to a lot of filmmakers is, and I'm not saying it's you, but I certainly know people, and I'm sure you do too, who go out and they buy the latest and greatest camera gear. Now, they may or may not be able to afford that camera gear. They may or may not be paying with cash, but a lot of people, unfortunately, will actually use credit to go buy the latest and greatest camera gear with the thought that someday I'm going to make my project, I'm going to sell my project, and everything's going to be okay. And sort of that thought process is a little bit of a risk, because what you're doing is you're depending on the future to kind of support your decisions now. And that's not the way to play it. Your decisions now should support the future. So if you are one of these folks in a position where you have some debt and you have a lot of camera gear, I want to share with you a philosophy that I learned when I read a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. The book was called, again, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and it talked about what the rich teach their kids about money that the poor and middle class do not. It was written by a guy named Robert Kiyosaki. But one of the key tenets of the book is the difference between an asset and a liability. What Robert points out is an asset, and this is how you can quickly remember whether or not you're taking steps now in your present to help you in the future. One of the ways that you determine whether or not you're buying an asset or a liability, based on his definition, which is very simple, is this. An asset is anything that you buy that puts money in your pocket, and a liability is anything that you buy that takes money out of your pocket. Now, the cool thing about this philosophy is, if you think about it, sometimes you can buy something that, today is a liability, but then you look at that thing and you say, well, how can I turn that into an asset? So I go back to this this example that I'm giving of people that are filling their empty closet with a lot of camera gear. What if you could take that camera and go through one of those websites that allows you to rent it out, right? And obviously you want to make sure it's a reputable website that has insurance and all those kinds of things. But those websites now exist. So you get it out there, you get it in the marketplace, and now your camera's working for you. So I'm going to use some numbers just to keep it light and an easy example. So let's say that you spent $1,000 on that camera and you rent it out over the course of the next 2-3 months, right? Sooner or later, supposedly, hopefully, you're going to get enough money back if you're working with reputable companies and your camera's getting rented out enough so that you get that $1,000 back. And then once you get that $1,000 back, anything on top of that, well, is profit, right? So now you've taken something that took money out of your pocket and you've turned it into something that's putting money into your pocket. Now, again, this is not necessarily directly related to the craft of filmmaking, but what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to share some stuff that I've learned along the way to help you accelerate your career so that you can take things to the next level. So hopefully this was helpful. I'm going to be doing a lot more of these types of live videos. So if you have some comments, feel free to leave them down below in terms of stuff that you would like to talk about next with me, and I'll be happy to hop back on here with some degree of frequency to share some things that I've learned along the way. And Seth Adams, he came on here. He says, I don't depend on credit. Congratulations, Seth. I mean, that's a really good way to play it. I believe, and again, I'm not here to judge. I had a ton of debt. And when I had that ton of debt, it was debilitating. And I didn't feel like I could follow my dreams. So I'm of the opinion that debt kills dreams bad. And if you can get yourself out of debt and stay away from debt, you're gonna be able to breathe so much better and then start focusing on the things you want in life versus, having that focus on all the things that you don't want in life. So, I know Seth kind of lives with that philosophy. Some of you might now be thinking like, what the heck are we talking about? We're mainly just trying to free ourselves up so that we can take advantage of all the wonderful opportunities that we're going to attract in our lives. So once again, if you have some comments, some topics you want me to cover in the future, just leave them in the comments section, and I'll be sure to address those in future videos. Until then, take action and make your movie now.